This is an NDOT project, but it's LPA funds, so it's partnered through the city for those funds. The project is tied to NDOT signalization and the railroad with their cross arms, the barriers. So this particular title sheet is for work that will change the parking along Hickory Street between Market and Fort Wayne to get traffic off of the railroad tracks. So all they're asking for us to do is to sign this cover sheet so they can continue with their review process at NDOT's level.
Right. That's
There's
what I
no
was curious
funds
what they
from our-
wanted.
Yeah,
So I'm very familiar with what's going on here. They're actually going to create one-ways off of Center Street, north along Hickory and south along Hickory at Center Street, as well as put physical barriers in their islands. They're not just going to paint. They want to minimize the traffic on Hickory because of the new signals that are going in. And we're trying to make the arrangements to allow parking that continues there, but minimize it and kind of narrow it down to one lane of one-way traffic through there. This is all in an effort to improve the safety in that Hickory Street area where you got freight trains barreling through there several times, 12 times a day, something like that. And James, you're exactly right. The Section 130 funds that they've been working on for 6 years now, the new safety signals, which will be larger, they'll come across in the top and they'll be much more adequate and I think more effective than what we have now. But I think part of the idea is that we don't want traffic on Hickory and getting trapped with those signals. So they're coordinating the design of Hickory Street, which is what this is about, with the new signals as well as timing these lights that are coming through. So it's all put together with NDOT and the railroad. But today we're just asking, you need a cover sheet signed, and again, this is all funded by NDOT. There's no city dollars in this one.
Correct, but it's the
Yeah.
funds that they're using through NDOT that need a partnership with the local community. They're not asking for us to fund participant, but one of the little check marks they have to have on that design to use those funds is the city has to sign this cover sheet that we agree with the project. So that's really all they're asking us to do.
And we worked with NDOT on the design, so I think
Correct.
this is signing off on what their final
I
design
have
is.
reviewed their design, planning department has
Yeah.
reviewed the design, and we're comfortable with it.
James, related to protocol and the checkoff, I do see, you said Fort Wayne Street. On the cover sheet, it stops at Main and Market, and I don't know if you're just
That was
talking, you're not
probably
looking at
there,
any.
yeah.
Yeah.
Is it, so
It's
you-
Main.
it is Main, so we wouldn't get any, okay, good, I just wanted to
Yeah.
make sure. Okay, thank you,
And this
Sorry
is gonna
about
be
that.
100% funded, we're not gonna have any?
Correct.
Okay,
Right.
thank you.
thank you.
I move to accept.
Second?
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? I would just add, this is something that we've been working with NDOT and the railroad for a long time to get finished. And I know some of the funds that the railroad was using, that they were going to put our new signals in with, got delayed because of the positive traction control that they required all these rails to be updated to after a few of the big accidents out east. So they kind of slid the priority for funds away from this project towards the positive traction control implementation nationwide, and that's why there's been, I think, such a delay. That's been the explanation to me. But we're hoping to get this project started soon. Jeremy, good morning. We just voted on the proposal, so you're all good. But do you know when they're talking about starting Hickory Street? And you can add anything you want on the project.
I don't, it's a next year project. They're not gonna obviously start this year. So I imagine it'd be sometime in the spring.
Okay. All right. All right, we did. Yeah. Okay, perfect. All right. Thanks, Jeremy. James filled in very adequately, and we put it all together. Yes, thank you. All right. Joel, are you going to present the grant? requests?
Yes, it is that time of year that we have to apply for some grants. I'm seeking permission to apply for 3 separate grants. All of these grants have non-matching funds, so no city dollars will be used. They're from the Indiana Criminal Justice Institute, and they're administered through the Winona Lake. And they're the same as in the past. The first one is for the non-motorist grant. This grant covers off-duty officers patrolling the city on bike and by foot. We use that primarily through covering our parks and also fat and skinny. The county's portion we're requesting is $20,000. The city that I'm hoping to get its portion will be about $10,000. So I'm seeking permission to apply for the non-motorist grant.
All right, I think we can consider all 3 of these if you want. The second one is number 5, the DUI task force.
So DUI task force, it covers off-duty officers patrolling the city, trying to eliminate drunk driving in our community. That the funds that we're seeking for the county is $25,000. The city's portion is approximately $7,000.
Okay, and all 3 of these are the National Highway Transportation Safety Administration funds?
Yes,
So they're all coming from the same source?
And
All right,
lastly,
and-
Operation Pullover.
Yes.
We use this for child restraints, safety belts, speeding vehicles, et cetera. The county's portion is $48,000, and the city's portion hopefully is going to be $12,000.
Okay. So there's 12,000, number 6,
10 and 7.
10 and 7, so $29,000 total of the 3 grants, all the same source?
Winona Lake is the lead.
Yes, and
then
Winona Lake
we're-
will be administering it through the county.
Your
Yeah,
local
but
government.
Craig's always done that.
Yes, he has.
Yeah. Is this, are these amounts any higher than what we have asked for in the past?
They are about the same.
They're about the same, okay. All right, any other questions?
You comfy all the same, or you want them separate?
Sure, I think we can do them all the same.
I move to approve all 3 requests.
4, 5, and 6.
I'll
Yes.
second that.
Okay, further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Joel, thank you, appreciate that. All right, Brian, you're up. Pay app number 8 for the plan expansion. This is an SRF disbursement.
Yeah, this is for Kikosing for work they performed over the last month. It's been reviewed, it's been checked by the engineer and within our department. Lynn helped me with some of it.
So this is a big one.
Well, on the contract worksheet, Brian had included the retainage and the actual request is just for $1.9 million, $2, $375, $902, $375. It's on the SRF disbursement form. And it's on the pay app too there that you're looking at, if you can read it.
Okay, I just want to make sure I understand this. It's 2.1?
2.1.
Well, that's with the retainage, but the pay app itself that we're sending to the SRF is for $1,902,375.
Yeah, I do have the wrong dollar amount on the cover sheet. I
Right.
just realized that. The amount this time is $1,902,375.
So you had taken the retainage from that amount?
I
and
added it to.
I see. So it's
I-
1.9 instead of 2.1?
Right, correct.
Okay. You all understand that? Can you, does the 1.9 show, here it is, right here.
The 2.1 basically is the total request.
It's on the second page, it's on the distribution form down on, right about the middle. It's highlighted as 1.902375.
But out of every pay request, we would keep
Yeah,
10% of it to make, that's our insurance, that the project gets completed,
And the payment request,
the payment amount is 10% less than the total request, because we're keeping that other 10% until the completion of
Exactly.
the project.
And that got added in there inadvertently.
Correct.
Okay, so the amount is 1.902375. And just for informational purposes, that puts us about a third of the way into the project from a
Correct.
disbursement.
yeah.
So it's a $31.7 million, and we'll be at 20 million remaining after this is paid. All right. Work's been completed, it's been approved by the engineer that the work has been completed.
Correct.
Okay. Any questions?
No, I'll move we approve the disbursement and the pay application according to the figure on page 2.
Second.
All right. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. We'll go to item number 8. This would be a similar SRF request only for
I'm
the,
gonna have to apologize, because I did the same thing probably on all 3 of them on the cover letter. I've had a
Yep.
little learning curve. My administrative assistant's been out, so I've had to figure out how to pay the SRF.
so on this one, it's showing the amount is
Right,
189,347.
and it's 10% less than that is the actual amount that we will be paying.
And at the same spot on the disbursement request form, it's 170,412. That's the amount.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah.
And Lynn, that's properly reflected on this application and certification for payment?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And that would be like on line 10 of Wessler's pay app that they review and approve. Might be sort of hard for you to see.
Yep, there it
That
is.
is line 10.
Okay, and then on the previous page, it's about in the middle, there's no line numbers, but that, so the only place there's a mistake is on the cover sheet.
Correct.
All right, so again, instead of 189,347, what you're asking us to approve is 170,412.
Correct.
Okay,
I move to approve.
Second.
all right, any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, item number 9. Again, I think we've got the same discrepancy. You're consistent.
Yes.
Brian.
All the same. Same mistake
I
3
could see a
times.
teacher writing that on your report card. Consistent.
52,726 is what shows on the worksheet, but the actual amount is 47,453. And that is reflected in the disbursement request form to the SRF, as well as the claim form that's signed, notarized, and put through there. 47,453 is the actual amount. And this is for the small diameter rehab.
Yeah, small diameter, the number 2 project that we put out.
So we're getting pretty close on that one too, huh?
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, just $3 million left.
Well, a portion of that's retainage.
It is.
Okay.
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Brian, you want to give us just a little update on the progress of each of these 3 projects, plant expansion and the
Sure,
small
the-
diameter?
I'll start with the sewer rehab projects. We put out the large diameter, the replacement, and then the 2 small packages. Well, the large diameter and the replacement, they're complete. The second package, I think they're down to just a handful of lines left to do, just 2 or 3 lines, I think. And then the small diameter, the first one we put out, some of those projects may actually overlap into next spring. There's potentially 2 or 3 lines that won't get done yet this fall. Some of it's gonna be weather dependent. And then, there's actually some money left over in there, so we may look at being able to do a few more linear feet that will be new lines added to that project. So some of those will probably go into next spring. And
Okay,
then with the plant, it's coming right along real well. They've got a majority of the concrete is poured. There's still 1 more tank to pour. They're starting to put some of the equipment within those tanks. I invite you guys out. I don't know if today'd be good with all the rain we've had. It may be a little muddy this afternoon, but if we get a decent Friday here in November, if you have the opportunity to come out at 1 o'clock on Friday, we do a little sewer tour, as we've called it, but it's a pretty impressive construction site, and the scope of it and the size of it is not something you get to see every day, so I encourage you, if you get a chance, to come out and check it out. You can always get online also. We still have that camera set up, and
so as far as the timeline, we're still looking at, what, June or July next year
No, it's the end of the year. For substantial, it's December. Our final substantial, I believe, is October, November
of 2020?
2020.
Okay, I was thinking, it was I think our discharge date to meet the discharge permit for
Yes, now that,
phosphorus was in July, wasn't it?
I believe it's June.
June, that's what I was thinking. I thought we were gonna be done by
Yeah,
then.
we will have that portion online. We have to have that portion on.
Okay, I see. So that wasn't the full thing. So we're looking probably about a year from now.
Correct.
Okay. Questions?
Thank you.
Okay. All right, thanks, Brian.
Before you sit down, I want the mayor to know, thanks for all your work and then educating us. You and other department heads countless times have also looked in the direction of the youth in our community. I want the mayor and George to know on this board that this month, my U.S. history students are studying urbanization in the United States of America and all of the good things that happened as a result, but also the responsibilities. My students will be touring the sewage plant next Wednesday. We will be touring the fire department the following week, and then we'll be in City Hall with Jeremy dealing with planning issues. Dealing with fire and police protection, and then infrastructure. And all three of these department heads, and there are others out here, I've asked, can you help me out? And these are the three at this time. And I just want to thank, through Brian, all of them for their willingness to open up their doors and educate our youth. So really looking forward to it. And thanks, Brian, for
Thank you.
letting us come out there. I know you guys are always busy, but it's always a good experience. First stop, the intake room. I want to go in there. All right.
Need a camera set up in
Yeah. Thanks, Brian. I wanted you to know. too.
Yeah, appreciate that.
It's great.
Yeah, you do a good job of getting those kids around this community.
Well,
And it's important to plug them in, and I appreciate that. And
He will always be my favorite teacher.
Okay, George.
So,
Took you on one of those tours, didn't you?
Yes,
The
I
old
did.
fire station, okay,
Remember-
good.
remember.
By Ian and
All
Jay.
right, I suppose we can move on now.
Thanks, George.
All right, thanks, Brian. I guess you're still up for
I have
the
one more.
stormwater, or actually, the storm sewer.
This has to do with that whole south side projects that we've been working on over the last few years. A couple Board of Works ago, we approved a study through Christopher Burke. And this is just an amendment to that contract where we're gonna do some stormwater sampling, sort of laying out what they're gonna do and what we're going to do to help offset some of those costs, what we can do in-house. This is leading to our end goal of really improving that park, putting that pond back to a fishable pond and really making it nice for the community. And I know the Parks Department's done a bunch of work and are continuing to do work in that park, so.
So this is a pretty significant addition to the original contract. James, could you maybe give us a little bit more detailed analysis of what this is going to cover?
When we entered into the agreement with Christopher Burke, that agreement had 3 subclauses that they were going to develop a scope of work for the utility to then contract with 3 separate entities to do work, support work for them to do their job. And we got to looking at it and realized that one of those 3, which was the sampling, the city staff could handle. We would be that contractor. There was some survey work, and we're using a local surveyor for that. The other, some geotechnical work. But they had set their contract up for us to go out and get those other contracts. And Brian and I talked, we wanted them to be in charge of soliciting that work as subconsultants to them. So they got exactly what they needed. So this amendment covers some of that change of them assuming a little more responsibility coordinating with their subconsultants instead of us doing it. But one of those 3, which was the sampling, we carved that work completely out. We're going to be the contractor on that. Our staff will do that and work directly with Burke on getting those answers. The end game of all of this work is to better understand how stormwater flow is making it to Kelly Pond. we're trying to identify where the sediment source came from that filled that pond in. Is it coming
Nice.
through our storm infrastructure? There is an open channel that comes from the north that goes in that. So this sampling is going to be both wet weather and dry weather sampling to better understand what sediment load is making it to the pond, so we can then design a feature to keep that sediment out. So the work they're doing right now is just understanding what's going on and giving us guidance on how they should proceed with a design that'll probably come through a contract next spring. But this amendment changed the direction of how we were going to accomplish this. Instead of having our consultant and 3 independent contractors, the consultant's going to take care of all of that work. And so that's why the fees went up.
Gotcha. Questions?
No, pretty extensive sampling too. pH, nitrates and all that, so that's good.
Okay.
I'll move we approve the
All right.
amendment.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
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 Those opposed? I know the Parks Department has been a significant benefactor, as well as the residents on the south side, with some of the work you've done to this point to improve the drainage. So this is a pretty expansive project. This is obviously a stormwater project that is, that was probably one of the highest priority projects that we took on once we started the stormwater utility. And obviously we'll continue until we get this done. Is this pretty much the last part of that specific project, or are there more elements to that? Sorry.
Yes, this is the final phase.
Okay.
We've done all of the work upstream of the park to control runoff. We expanded Eisenhower Basin significantly. We redirected flow from Tigers Retreat Basin over to the Eisenhower Basin because we had drainage problems downstream of that one. That was a part of the projects we did. We upsized some size of pipes inside Pheasant Ridge that ultimately drained
Right.
to the Eisenhower Basin. We had a couple of residents that literally heavy rain events, their basements were flooded because of. We've done all of that upstream work. This is really the downstream ends now. And this last piece is, like Brian said, get that pond restore that pond to a fishable. We're still seeing it that in the next 2 to 5 year time frame, working with the Parks Department on their plan for improvements inside the park. I mean, a benefit of the work that we've done is the sledding hill. The parks had a plan for a sledding hill, didn't know how they were going to execute that plan, but that was in their long-range plan. And we were able to see their plan and we had excess material when we did the Eisenhower Basin, and it was a cost benefit to the stormwater project for that contractor to dispose of those waste product, the soils, at the park and start that sledding hill. So that's a beginning point at no cost to the Parks Department. So that was an opportunity of 2 departments working together that saved one department significant funds and helped reduce the cost on the other department's project. But that end game is, we all see the benefit of that pond to the community. In its current state, it's too shallow. It doesn't support any type of
Wildlife.
creatures there. We're envisioning that pond will be a 10 or 15 foot deep body of water again that will be a fishable pond
Okay.
when we finish up.
All right. Thank you. All right. Jennifer. Start with the new hire report.
Right, so Jordan Roberts at the police department is a non-probationary status, so we just need permission to make that pay reflect that. And then we have a new hire for the clerk's office. She's replacing Will, who left the accounts payable. So just asking permission for those 2 hires.
Questions?
No. I'll move to approve.
Second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. And let's go to travel requests. There's 2.
Right, 2 for the police department.
One is to the Law Enforcement Academy, and the other one is a interdiction for Officer Keller. Excuse me, Sergeant Keller.
Right, it looks like Clay's going to Plainfield, not to Warsaw.
Right, that's an error. That should be Plainfield.
Gotcha. Yeah, that's where the academy is. I assumed that from what was on the request. All right, questions?
I move to approve.
Second.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right. Item 13 would be the plan document for the dental benefit for the employees and their
Right.
families.
Right, so in July, you approved for Creative Benefit Solutions located here in Warsaw to be our broker consultant for our self-insured dental and short-term disability plans for all eligible full-time employees effective 9/1 of 19. During the process, we sent over our current SPDs and had their attorneys and everybody kind of put eyeballs on it, make sure that we were still compliant with the language when it comes to benefits, and they sent those back, and we just are asking for your acknowledgement to reinstate the benefits with their logos, their information, instead of our prior TPA, which was done in Associates.
And this is the information that'll go in the, just to the employees, their benefits description.
Correct, yes. It just outlines the circumstances and the waiting periods and amounts given. Right. We didn't start over, everybody got brand-new benefits. We just rolled them because they are calendar years.
Okay,
Okay?
all right. Questions?
No, I'll move to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Thank you for your work on that. I know that's, you've been doing everything you can to try and keep our costs down and to provide as good of benefits as you can for our employees and their families, and I think this is a product of that.
Yes, thank you.
And then the last one, don't run away. You've got your,
The dental.
no, we did the dental, this is the other one, this short-term disability.
Disability.
They're listed
Same
separately.
Yeah, you
thing.
talked-
I
Same-
see.
yep,
So-
Same TPA, same creative benefits, just everybody, again, we cleaned that up, make sure that we were in compliance as a self-insured plan, that our waiting periods were in line, and we did actually find a couple things that maybe were not being done correctly in years past, but we reinstated those waiting periods as they should be, and we're ready to roll.
So this is a new vendor as well.
This is a new vendor, yes, same TPA, same broker, same everybody, but we rolled both self-insured plans, our dental and short-term disability, over to,
All right, well, we considered the dental portion of it on the last vote, and they're listed separately, so we'll consider the short-term disability as well in this vote.
very good.
I'll move to approve.
Second.
All right, further discussion or questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed?
Thank you.
All right, thanks, Jennifer. All right. Len, no special claims, it appears.
No special claims.
All right, let's look at the claims docket. I'm sure you all had a chance to do that.
Yeah, and there's 3 different dockets there for the regular, the end of the month, and the pension.
Did you see anything?
No, you are part of that too. No, nothing. I move to accept.
Second, yeah.
Okay. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, any other items carry forward? Jeremy?
As we prepare for the mixed-use development on Buffalo Street, the existing lot configuration with the new roads need to be replatted in order to accommodate what will become that future mixed-use lot, as well as the new right-of-way for the Buffalo Street that wraps around, and that will eventually be adjoined by the public plaza. So I just need the Board of Works to approve the replat of these lots that are owned by the Redevelopment Commission and the city, as well as the vacation of alleys and streets that may be in between those lots. And you can see that on the 2 attachments.
Okay. And this will go to the Plan Commission and the Redevelopment Commission as well.
Yes, the redevelopment commission will approve the replat on Monday, and then, plan commission would approve it on the following Monday.
Is it gonna be like a separate subdivision then? From like the original plat, I'm assuming?
Yes, yeah.
Who came up with the name Waterworks? That's pretty clever. Waterworks.
That's the old Indian American water facility, obviously, which even before that time is where they pumped out the water, so, between myself and Joe, seemed like a likely name.
Did you have another suggestion?
No, I thought it was pretty clever.
Like George
I have a
subdivision?
fountain in there. Picture. Did you want it near me?
No, this is all. So Jeremy, the back page kind of shows the existing.
Yes, yeah, you can kind
The
of see
second
there were,
page shows
there were a
existing
number of
plats.
lots.
Right.
There's some alleys, the lot kind of went out and goes out into the street, and then you had the parks facility that was on a lot, and then you see another lot off to the side. So there's a lot of different lots configuration through there. Now, most of it didn't really line up with the property lines in the first place. So kind of reconfiguring all those to meet our needs as far as the mixed-use lot. It creates the lot for Lot 3, which would be where the existing Parks Department building is. Lot 2 is Canal Street, and then Lot 4 is a remaining piece on the other side of the alley. We're not vacating that alley as it goes south from Canal Street.
So all we're doing is taking those old, looks like somewhat residential plots that are now sticking out in the middle of Buffalo Street and the other city lots, and putting them into few parcels, much fewer parcels than what they are now.
Yes, yeah.
Did this area have a name, or was it just part of the original plat?
It was Jock's
Okay, I see now.
addition
Yep.
to Warsaw.
Okay.
So you need us to approve this. This needs to go through all of those boards for that to occur, correct?
Yes.
All right, so this is but one of three. Again, the Plan Commission will have a say-so in this, as will the Redevelopment Commission.
Yes.
Okay. All right, so is this a recommendation to those boards, or would they be, I know the timing is,
I think, Scott, my understanding is you're just approving the process of
You're
replatting.
approving, asking the
Yeah.
Plan Commission to replat your property that's contained within that Waterworks subdivision. And then the redevelopment commission's gonna be asked to do the same
Same
thing,
thing,
to
yeah.
ask the planning
The plan.
commission to replat. And then, so the city of Warsaw and the redevelopment commission is going to be the two owners within the plat. So the planning commission will probably agree to do that.
right? Okay, so this would be a recommendation to the Plan Commission. All right,
I'll move we approve the recommendation stated.
Second.
all right. Any further discussion? Jeremy, any other concern?
That's it.
Okay. All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? All right, thank you. So you said Redevelopment Commission will consider it Monday,
Yes, redevelopment commission's Monday at
and then the
4.
following Monday will be the Plan
Following
Commission.
Plan Commission, yeah.
All right.
On the- No, I take that back. The Monday's a holiday, so it's Tuesday on the 12th would be the Plan Commission meeting.
Okay, thank you.
What's that?
Jennifer?
Just to, I just want to let the board know that IPEP, our current work comp carrier, offered to their clients an opportunity to apply for safety grants, safety funds for, to be used for purchase of equipment and other items to keep our employees safe. We had the IPEP representative for Warsaw come and meet with our safety committee a couple months ago and kind of went over the ways of applying and whatnot. And we have received tentative news that we are eligible to receive about $36,000 worth of grant money to be able to be used for certain departments who did turn in the paperwork. I still need to bring back to the Board of Works the official acceptance or recommendation, but I just wanted the board to know, and if you were good with it, we could move forward. It would be an 80% grant money they provide to us, and the city, various different departments, application would be about $7,200. And it covers everything from the confined space entry. There was a training mechanism for the fire department. Street department had some things, and we put money in for all city-wide to be able to send about 10 employees down to the safety conference in Indianapolis. So with your permission, we just would like to move forward with looking at that paperwork.
So will you bring that back to the next Board of Works to bring the acceptance?
It probably, yes, because we have until December to actually get all of the paperwork around to make sure this is something that we want to do, but after.
So by at the next, you can,
I can do it.
that would
next
meet your
Board of Works.
timeline if you bring it to Board of Works next meeting. I
Correct.
think that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, yeah, great, that's good news.
Oh, yeah, great news, so,
Appreciate it.
okay, thank
All
you.
right, thanks. Jeremy, I'm gonna put you on the spot for just a second. Could you just give us a little bit of update on some of the road projects, which we're hoping are kind of winding down? You can start with all the good news on Market Street and then maybe progress to the other end of the spectrum on US 30.
Yeah. So Market Street, for the most part, is done. We still have to do the walkthrough with NDOT, and we'll look at any issues. So there may be some small things. I know we still have some street signs to put up, and we'll review all the other items. There'll be a punch list. They will probably come back to address anything within that punch list, but I can't imagine that'll be much more than a day or two here or there. So for the most part, Market Street is done. North Point Drive, they're still doing concrete. They still have some sidewalk and curb cuts to do. My understanding is they were supposed to be done early November, so weather permitting, if it keeps raining or snowing like we had last night, it might be delayed. Or I had snow last night, I should say.
We did too, Jim.
Yeah. It might be delayed, but I would think they probably have a couple more weeks out there as far as concrete work to go. 300 North has a long way to go. We've had a number of utility issues out there. The last one was a gas main that wasn't supposed to be in the way, and now it is. So we're fighting through that one. I don't know how much we'll get done this year. We're still trying to get, at least have asphalt down on it, and so we can have the road open during the winter, and then come back and finish it up in the spring. US 30 is the patching work, so all the intersection work's been done on Anchorage and Parker Street, so that work's done, and those lanes are opened back up. But the patching work, this is an NDOT project, has been slowly moving from State Road 19, and will go all the way to just shy of State Road 13. They entered Warsaw a week or so ago out by Sylvia's Crossing, and they will be slowly moving at a mile increment through Warsaw. So outside of Warsaw, they were closing up to 2 miles. In Warsaw, they will only be closing a mile. Their next phase, I believe, will be from just past Sylvia's Crossing to Anchorage, and then the next phase from there would be Anchorage to around Spring Hill, and then Spring Hill to somewhere short of Center Street, and then so forth. But we have a map. We're going to try to get that out to the public. I'm trying to get timelines. I don't have timelines. I don't know if they have a specific timeline for each phase. I think they've been kind of behind on the timeline they originally gave NDOT. But over the next month or so, probably they'll be throughout Warsaw and then on.
So those are lane restrictions.
Those are lane
down to one
restrictions, yeah.
lane, from what I understand.
And they're gonna flip-flop, east-west. So they'll be doing the east one day, the west the next day, and so forth. Lanes, the lanes will change. So we just need to be cautious as you go through there. and pay attention to the signs.
We very patiently have gone through that this summer with some of the projects at the intersections, and it will be certainly slowing things down, but like you said, mile section at a time. Do you know when they're proposing to start that within the city limits? Is that
So they're already on the,
Anchorage to,
no, they're already on, out by Sylvia's Crossing.
okay, so Sylvia's Crossing to Anchorage is,
They were supposed to shift it this week yet. So if they haven't done it, they may still do it today. They're supposed to shift it from Sylvia's, so it'll occupy that.
so that
section
first
15.
segment. And we will be putting that map,
What's that? With the weather, yeah.
we're going to put out, Stacy, we talked about it this morning, we'll put out the map so people can see where it's going to be. We're a little hesitant to put timelines out because they change, other than when it starts. From what I understand, is it about a week per section?
Let's hope it's less than that, because they have to go all the way to 13 before the season shuts down.
Okay, so hopefully they'll be moving quicker than that. But that's exactly why I don't want to say anything about timelines.
Yeah.
This is when it starts.
Yeah. Ideally, yeah, I don't know how far they are behind. Let's
Yeah.
hope they get through Warsaw before the asphalt plants shut down. But I would say probably 3 or 4 days, maybe per section, is what they were supposed to be shooting on.
Right,
They were supposed to, I had the first email I'd forwarded to Stacy, I think was either Tuesday or Wednesday of this week. They were supposed to shift from Sylvia's in that section on 15. Obviously, with the weather, they've not been able to do that. So I still look for that shift to happen either today or early next week. They're going to be shifting further east.
okay. All right, thank you very
And
much.
it's in mile increments.
Yeah, and again, those maps will be all out on the city website and the social media and to you guys.
I have an email to them for a schedule, and if they get a schedule, we'll pass that on as well.
Yeah.
But it's gonna be weather. The problem is the schedule's gonna be based on weather, so if it rains, everything's
Right.
gonna shift. So every day it rains, it's gonna shift the whole schedule a day or 2 days or whatever it may be. So it'll be a revolving shift, because they're not going to update the schedule every day. They'll update the schedule, I think, bi-weekly when they have meetings with NDOT. So every 2 weeks, they would update the schedule. Other than that, it's just gonna be a rolling delay. So if they get rained out one day, you can count on that section being another day.
So schedule will be certainly weather dependent,
Yeah.
and we will not take any responsibility or control of that schedule, because that is an NDOT project. All right, Jeremy, thanks.
Yep.
I know right out front here, Buffalo and Center Street, that work. Jeff, are they going to pour any concrete today? Are they going to do curbs? Hopefully tomorrow. Tomorrow, okay. And then next week, they'll get everything hooked up. We should be done by next week at some unannounced time next week. Hopefully we'll be done and we'll be back operational. Yeah, okay. All right. Anybody else?
I think you need to take some action on the grants that Jennifer was talking about. You didn't take any action
We did.
to approve the application or whatever?
Which one?
It wasn't on our agenda. She
Right.
just brought that up a few minutes
Byron
ago.
Kaufman actually just notified us this morning that we are being considered for the money. And so I needed to ask permission for the board to accept that we move forward researching and,
With the application of the grant?
correct.
All right, very
So-
good. I didn't get that impression.
That's all right.
So moved.
All right,
Second.
thank you.
Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right, thanks, Lynn.
Yeah, thanks.
You're welcome.
All right, appreciate it. Anybody else? Is there a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Thank you. Clemens subdivision, is that?